I was home by this point. So, I mean, it's nice to, semi-consistently be, playing on in these draws, and these are the ones you want to play in. I mean, you got to win these events in order to go and win the big ones as well. Worlds, Olympics, you name it. So, these events play such a huge importance, in figuring out where your team actually sits amongst the world's best.
What do you say to the guys before a game like this?
We don't need to change much. We've been on a good stretch. We're building towards something big, and I don't think this team has anything to prove. I think that's been a big motto amongst the team to ourselves. I think that the biggest thing for us is continuing to prove to ourselves and only ourselves each and every game, how good we think we can be and how good we think we are.
Absolutely brilliant. Thanks for doing this, Matty. Good luck in the quarterfinal.
Thanks, Steph.
All right, skipper Matt Dunstone and his crew getting ready to take on Team Adine. Practice about to start, Matty, so you better get out there. We'll let you get on the ice as we take a look at your crew and look across the ice here. It's going to be Team Dunstone versus Team Adine on the far side of the arena from our vantage point, and then Team Mowat and Team Gushu right beside them. Schwaller versus Returnez, and then right beside our broadcast location is going to be Team Epping and Team Waddell. So that is the scene here inside the Welcome back inside the Silent Ice Center as we get ready for the Elite Eight, the men's quarterfinal at the Co-op Tour Challenge. You're taking a live look at Team Mowat versus Team Gushu in that matchup. Haven't they had some battles over the years? Just one of the quarterfinals here today. You can watch it all on rockchannel.com. Earlier, just a short time ago, the women's quarterfinals wrapping up. And well, a clinic put on by Team Homan against Team Anderson. Let's pick things up early on. 2-0 Homan getting off to a great start, and you don't want to give the #1 ranked team in the world a lead, and that's what happened, and Anderson and company were chasing the whole game. But look at this shot from the skipper from Gimli, Manitoba. Anderson with a run back to make it 2-1. That's as close, really, as the game would be. A little bit of a heavy draw here from Anderson. A steal for Homan to go up 3-1. They would mount a 5-1 lead. You can see that there. Anderson trying to claw back in this thing. They were chasing really from the first rocks. 5-3. But Homan with the hammer once again. Their hammer efficiency so prolific. Here's Rachel hitting about a half rock back onto that Anderson rock, and that made it 7-3. They would add 2 more. You can see Rachel's husband, Sean, and the kids watching in one of the suites here. They love what wife and mom were doing on the ice. Here's Carrie trying to make another difficult shot. That was the story of the day, and just not able to execute. The final score, 9-3. Team Homan once again in a semifinal at the Grand Slam of Curling. And one of the big storylines, of course, Rachel Homan looking for a 19th title. That would be a record between the men's and the women's game. Incredible stuff. Homan into the final. Okay, just a couple of sheets over. Team Tirinzoni. They've been pushing Homan. And here's Alina Paetz, the last rock thrower for Team Tirinzoni. You know, this team as well, just like Homan, they get off to a great start, 2 on the board with hammer. They would get a lead. They would build a lead. Up 3-0 against Team Rana from Sweden. Isabella Rana not able to make her last. Another difficult shot. It was 5-0. It was 7-0 in the 5th end when Isabella Rana had a glimmer of hope.
Quite thin.
Take a look at this shot.
Can the shooter stick around?
The opportunity to score 4, not able to do that. A tough double, was able to get 3, so it's 7-4 now. But that's as close as Team Rana would get. Tirinzoni drawing for 2. Well, they were looking for 3, but they come up with 2. The final score 9-4. So emphatic victories by both teams, Homan and Tirinzoni, into the semifinal. I had a chance to speak to both of the last rock throwers. Let's take a listen first to Alina Paetz. Congratulations, Alina. You're into another semifinal at the Slam. A 9-4 victory over Team Rana. Take us through it first of all, and then we'll get into that end where things got a little dicey.
Yeah, well, I think we played really well the first 4 ends, and then they struggled a bit, especially with the peels and with the hits, and then they, out of nowhere, they started to play really well, and we started to make some little mistakes, but not too much, I felt, but still we were in trouble the 5th and the 6th end, and luckily we pulled out that win in the 7th.
What is it like to mount a big lead and with a 5-rock free guard zone? Kind of just hold on. I feel like you can get in a trap scenario a little bit.
Yeah, you can, and then you start the end really well like we did, and then they start to tap and freeze, and you just don't know what you do, and then you run out of time and you think even more, and it was a little bit of a struggle, but just happy we won.
What were you thinking when Isabella settled in? And she could have made a thin double for 4. She came up with 3, but it looked like the game could have turned a little bit, Alina.
Absolutely. Luckily, we were 7-0 up, which was really good for us, so gave us a little more confidence going into that end. Even if she takes 4, it's still we have a good lead, but we were just hoping she can't turn it around, and just happy how it turned out at the end.
Last one, you'll either take on, as we do this interview, because you were off the ice early, either Constantini or fellow country mate, Schwaller and company. Any thoughts on, or preference, don't want to ask you that, but any thoughts on who you might meet in the semi?
Well, actually, I think it's a tie game, so it could be both. And I don't really have a preference, to be honest. I think they're both really good teams. They sweep really well. So, just try to focus on us and try to bring our A game. And I think if we can do that, we have a good chance against both of them.
Last one, as I worked my way around the arena going into these quarters, everybody said, well, it feels like the teams we thought would be in the semis are likely going to be in the semis. And yet, it isn't that easy, is it, with this elite competition?
There's so many good teams here. It's just it's not automatically you're in the semis only because you're a good team. I feel like we have to fight in every game, and even like we just saw, they can always come back if they start to play well. And I think we just need to focus on ourselves and just try to be better every game.
We'll see you in the semi.
See you in the semis.
Rachel, that was an emphatic victory. Where would you rank this game in terms of your production and how you were clicking as a team throughout the week? It seems like you're just getting better and more comfortable.
Yeah, early in the week we definitely struggled with the ice and didn't catch on things as quickly as we should have. And I think last night was, we finally figured it out and found our groove together. And then just more of the same this morning. Ice was great, and it was a really great performance. Like, my team played unreal. I mean, Anderson played really strong too. We always have battles against them.
I don't want to suggest that you're trying to send a message this far away from a trials, but I would imagine that any win over a Canadian team at this point of the season going into trials sets you up in a good place.
Yeah, I mean, we don't play Canadian teams very often at the Slams anymore. We haven't played them maybe in a while. I would say a year, but I don't know. Yeah. It was great to play them, and it's a game you want to get up for and you want to perform, and the losses don't really matter right now in this point in the season. So just going out there and trying our best. Yeah.
Second ago, I asked Alina this question about everybody I was talking to in the arena, saying for as much intrigue as there was this week, the teams we're expecting to be in the semis are likely going to be in the semis, and yet you have to fight for all of it. So tell us about the level of competition here in the game right now.
I mean, we had an early loss, just pretty poor performance by our team, just uncharacteristic. So it definitely feels like you're behind the 8 ball, and you got to get better quick. There's you got 24 hours to turn around and have a better game, and we did that. We kept playing better every game, and really proud of my girls for not getting frustrated and just sticking together and trying to figure out every game we got better.
Last one, your semifinal opponent will either be GIM or Hasselborg, and as we look on in the 8th right now as we speak, Hasselborg up 1 with Hammer, could likely be that team. How much better? How do you have to approach that to get a victory and get into another final?
I think more of the same. They're playing really well. We've heard they're making everything, and I feel like we had a really strong performance here at noon. So more of the same. Hopefully tighten the screws a little bit more for tonight, and hopefully we can pull out a win.
Good luck in the semi.
Thank you.
Alina Paetz and Rachel Homan, of course, when I was speaking to them, they didn't know who they were going to be playing. But guess what? We have figured out that. We got some answers, and we do have an updated bracket now to take a look at the Final 4 on the women's side at the Co-op Tour Challenge. And there it is, Homan versus Hasselborg, and a Swiss showdown on the other side. It'll be Schwaller versus Tirinzoni. Might we have another slam final involving Homan and Tirinzoni? Perhaps. Stay tuned. At 8 p.m. local time, the women's semifinal as well as the men's semifinal, as you look at the Silent Ice Center and we get set for first rocks in the men's quarterfinal. We'll take a break, and on the other side, a chat with the legend, Jules O. They call him the Rock Whisperer. Jules Ochar, a legendary coach of Kevin Martin, of Brad Gushue. How wonderful is it to see him back in the arena behind the bench for this Gushue quarterfinal? Just a short time ago, I had a chance to speak with Jules. Let's listen in. Well, Jules, let me just say it is wonderful to see you back in the arena. I believe you were here yesterday. You were here this morning. What are the impressions and the feelings of being back here at the curling rink?
Kevin brought me last Tuesday, and I haven't been in the curling. Well, I missed all the Grand Slams, so this is the first time, and it's like riding a horse again. It's great now. See all the guys, get in the dressing rooms. That's what I miss. I never leave the rink, huh? Brad plays and he leaves or he stays. I stay here for all 4 draws and spend my time in the dressing room, so it's great.
You were behind the bench, of course, Brad winning this morning in the tiebreaker. What are you seeing from this team, a team you know very, very well, and a skip you know very well?
Well, I'm surprised, like, they haven't done that well this year. From what I'm seeing, they're curling really good. Like, we beat Dunstone and then beat McEwen, and there's flashes of them. They miss here and there, but I think they're going to come on.
Does it surprise you that Brad has announced his retirement? He said he couldn't find the motivation, Jules, anymore, and you also spent a ton of time with Kevin Martin, and Kevin said when he was done, he was done. Maybe tell me about some of those similarities as well between the two of them.
Well, I never wanted Kevin to retire, but sometimes physically, if you're not 100%, it gets tough after a while, throwing rocks, etc. And so he went, and then now Brad is going through the same thing. He's curling well, but he's got some problems, and they don't get better, unfortunately. Those guys threw 1 million rocks, and now they're sort of paying the price for it.
But they both did a lot of winning. Maybe just some thoughts on how good they are. Of course, Kevin, 18 slam wins. Rachel Homan, 18 slam wins. She could win a 19th here, Jules. We're seeing some of the best ever to play the game.
Well, when I talk about Kevin and Brad, that's 2 of the best ever. Kevin went through it, and he was voted like curler of the century, team of the century, and then Brad took over. And when I curled with Kevin, he always said, Brad's now the best curler in the world. And I spent 7 years with him, and it was tremendous. I don't know if he ever missed. That's what it seemed like to me, huh?
You said they've had a little bit of trouble. Of course, Botcher joining this team, and they haven't really been clicking in the way that we're used to seeing Team Gushue, and yet we're about, 5 weeks away from the Olympic trials. Yeah. What should curling fans be thinking about Brad Gushue and this team? He always seems to turn it on in the big stage, Jules.
Well, I think he won't be the favorite, but he'll be competitive. And you know what it is? It's 1 week, and any one of 5 teams could win it easily. They get on a roll, and Brad finds his group. They got to get together a little better. Their sweeping is a little off sometimes, but I expect them to be a challenge because there's nobody really right now dominating, right? And that's what makes it wide open. Like in the ladies, like you can almost predict Homan. Now she can get beat, but you can almost go to the bank. But a man, I don't think you can say that.
We've been talking about the fact that 5 or 6 teams could be right there at the end of the week. It is a best-of-3 final. Do you like that?
Well, I think it does, especially if somebody goes undefeated and wins, and he hasn't lost a game, and then the guy that's in second beats him, and he doesn't go. This way here. Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, provides a bit of a safety net.
Yeah. And it's good for the crowd, and somehow if you lose 2 in a row, then you feel like, okay, he beat me. Yeah. But if you lose that 1 game sudden death, like you feel cheated.
Listen, I was there when you were inducted into the Hall of Fame. So many people have so many wonderful things to say about you, and I know you're humble, and thank you for doing this because I know you like flying under the radar. But why do you think you were able to have so much success with the teams you were with?
Well, originally, Northern Alberta was a hotbed for curling. So the talent was there. A lot of times, no one sort of developed it. It was just there, there wasn't much for coaching in curling. You just get 4 guys together and you curl and the best team won. And then people started coaching him, and I was lucky. I had good athletes. I mean, when you work, it turned with Kevin for 30 years and then you get Brad for 7, that helps. And then my college teams always had good teams. Northern Alberta, and you win, and then people come from Saskatchewan, they come from BC, and you just keep getting stronger. So that's the secret, I guess.
I'm sure you have a few others. Have you said anything to Brad and the team? They're getting ready for a quarterfinal game later on here today.
I'll give him a hard time. I'll expect him to.
Jewel,
I challenged Brad out there one time. I said, Brad, to me, normally you would have taken that one out instead of trying to draw. Just give him a hard time.
Jules, it is wonderful to see you. Welcome back to the arena. Curling is better off because of you.
Thank you.
Well, maybe that's exactly what the doctor ordered for Team Gushue. Jules Ochar back in the arena. John Cullen, you're going to be calling this game in a second. But you and I were texting earlier. I said, is that Jules behind the bench? He's back, and Gushue looks to be back.
Yeah, it was a good game for them this morning, and I would say Brad in particular seemed back. I'll be honest, wasn't Mark's best game, but it's the best I've seen Brad throw this year personally. Made a few huge shots to get them out of some jams, and they deserve the win against McEwen for sure.
A fist bump from Gushue when he made that huge shot last night against Dunstone. He seems engaged in the game again.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you interviewed Brad earlier. He talked about how the slams even are maybe not doing it for him anymore, but you make the playoffs at a slam, there's something about your competitive juices that are going to get flowing, I think.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, this place is rocking. I hear it's almost at capacity throughout the weekend. Okay, let's look at the men's playoff bracket because there are compelling matchups here, John Cullen.
Yes.
Take us through the Elite Eight, what you're seeing, what you like, and perhaps who you see advancing to the semifinal.
I really like the way Epping's been playing this week. They've looked very, very solid, coming in 3-1. I like them. Mowat hasn't had their best game this week. I feel like they're gettable for Brad Gushue here. Matt Dunstone looks like he's continuing his run from winning the points bet and the Masters. And you know what? That Retornage-Schwaller game, that's a Euro coin flip for me.
Wait a second. I'm hearing you call 3 Canadian teams moving on to the semifinal at a slam. That's been a while, John Cullen.
Maybe I'm an optimist, Devin. Maybe that's what it is. But no, I like what I'm seeing out here from all of those teams for sure.
All right, well, we got to let you go because you got to get from this side over to that broadcast booth over there. So get over there. Have a great call.
Awesome.
Thanks for doing
Devin.
this.
Appreciate it.
John Cullen on rockchannel.com. Of course, you can watch all these games live. Sportsnet, of course, broadcasting the games as well. I hear AC/DC Thunderstruck, which is my cue that the player introductions are about to happen right here at the Silent Ice Center. The men's quarterfinals coming right up. You can watch it all, as always, on rockchannel.com after this, the Final Four at the Grand Slam of Curling.